Welcome to the V2V podcast, Survivor Series, Diamond Ranch Academy with Marcus Parrish and Alexei Lindes, parts 5 through 8.
And now we get into doctorate or master's level therapists. What's interesting about their staff, I think they moved around a lot from facility to facility. Ephraim Hanks, he's the clinical director. He's been a social worker since 2008, and he's been a marriage and family therapist since 2010. But as we talk about these therapists, people should remember very clearly that it was in this group of people that the sexual abuse occurred. The sexual abuse occurred among teacher, child porn, and the sexual grooming and abuse was done by a member of the therapy staff. So I want to be clear that even though I'm noting that these people have the right clinical backgrounds, educational backgrounds, so do these other folks, the ones who were the predators. An important thing to remember, because absolutely the culture of this place attracts a certain type of person. So we should be very leery of the therapeutic staff, and I would encourage parents who have their kids there to take a good look at who is actually treating your kids, and you should do that in any case, like with any therapist. You should always do a thorough background check on any kind of position of trust that you're going to put, especially your child, into with an adult. You should do a thorough background check, and if there's any hesitation, that makes you feel odd, then you should run fast away from that person.
Absolutely.
Now we spoke about this guy Cade Matthews. Apparently, this guy was a staff member at another school, the Heritage Schools, which is the next investigation that we're going to do. He's a clinical social worker now. He started off as a support staff at Heritage School. Then he became a therapist at Wasatch Mental Health, and now he's the assistant clinical director and therapist at Diamond Ranch Academy.
Wow.
So, yeah.
He's made a career of this industry.
Indeed. We have Meyer Jepson. Meyer completed a Bachelor of Science in Psychology from the University of Utah, master's degrees in Science Education and Mental Health Counseling from the University of Miami, Florida. He has a PhD in Clinical Psychology from Brigham Young. His work experience is interesting to note. I think I wrote it down for a reason. He says that Meyer Jepson focused his clinical experience on at-risk adolescents and adults, addiction, and forensic populations. He has conducted psychological assessments and individual and group therapy in hospitals, adolescent programs, and the corrections department in Florida and Utah. Prior to joining the Entrada Young Adult Program, Meyer worked as a primary therapist at the Second Nature Unitas Adolescence Program. So I don't know what those are, but he's that example of one of these guys who seems to have moved around a lot, and that should be a concern. Maybe not a big concern, but definitely something that you should always look into. If you're looking at a therapist who has gone from state to state, or from facility or program or office to office, there might be something wrong. Because most doctors and most therapists and social workers stay in one place, really almost their entire career. and just become.
Yeah, but they could have something wrong too. I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes, also, when a person will go from state to state and become licensed in a different state, they may not be eligible to be licensed in another state, or something may have happened where they lost licensure somewhere else, so they can go and yeah. And I'm not saying that that's the case, but
No.
it might be the case.
But with Diamond Ranch Academy, you never know. I mean, clearly, because we're sort of in that zone now where this next offense is going to happen. And it would be nice to get, some type of legislation to get something done.
Absolutely. So we have Kevin O'Keefe, and he is also a licensed clinical psychologist. He has extensive experience in various settings, including hospitals, prison systems, a university counseling center, wilderness therapy, and private practice. It says Dr. O'Keefe is a well-rounded clinician. But again, it's just like, that's too many places, man. Hospitals, prisons, university counseling center, wilderness therapy, private practice. Like, what is going on with this guy? Why can't he stay put? So we have Jake Roberts, who's a nurse. He's a real nurse. And he's a real nurse. So there we go. We have a nurse. That's cool. Jerome Eason. He works in substance abuse. And he is a licensed substance abuse disorder counselor in Utah. He's been licensed since December 2014. He got his Master's of Science at Grand Canyon University. Some schools are better than others, His work experience is interesting too. So he was a supervisor at a residential treatment facility. He was a probation officer. He was an athletic director. And now he's a program director and counselor at Diamond Ranch. What's interesting about this is that he is a program director and a counselor, but remember the other program directors had really meager educational backgrounds. See, there's that weird blurring where these other people who are much less educated or qualified are at his same level. They may be his boss.
Sure.
This is the kind of thing that the young lady's lawyer was concerned about. About why wouldn't you take notice of papered up window? Maybe because the program director is the counselor's boss and doesn't want to know, or doesn't care to know, or maybe knows. Maybe he knows and doesn't care. So then we have a lady named Jill Call, and she is a real marriage and family counselor. Nothing really exciting there. Although her work experience, again, comes into question here because she's staff at Outback Therapeutic Expeditions in Lehi, Utah. So she started off at a wilderness school as a staff, and then she became a primary therapist at Logan River.
Right.
And then she was an outpatient therapist at Alliant Counseling and Education in St. George. And then she became a therapist in private practice in St. George, Utah. But now she is working at Diamond Ranch. Another one of those cases where there's too much background. All right. So then we have Brent Holm, who's a therapist. He's a licensed clinical social worker in Utah. He's been licensed since April of 2015. He's a youth counselor at a residential treatment program, therapist and substance abuse counselor at the community health department, and now he's a therapist at Diamond Ranch. Jared Jensen, he's a therapist, and he was a primary therapist at Second Nature Entrada Therapeutic Wilderness Program. He was a therapist at a place called Discovery House. The therapist at Wasatch Family Therapy. Another wilderness camp guy. Cassie Robinson, therapist. Cassie Robinson's an interesting case. She was licensed in September of 2017, but she's been working at Diamond Ranch Academy as a therapist since 2013. She was illegitimate for a number of years. She got her Master's of Counseling in Marriage and Family and Child Therapy at the University of Phoenix. That lady should not have been working there for that long as a therapist. Stuart Squires. He has his Master's in Social Work from Brigham Young University. He worked as a therapist at Sunhawk Academy. He worked as a therapist at New Haven. And now he works as a therapist at DRA. So he's been around a little bit.
Yeah, and New Haven is a horrendous place. We'll get to that at some point, I'm sure.
Sure.
You can almost see patterns, yeah, I'm sure.
Right. So then we have a lady named Pabla Thompson. She is, she's a therapist. Her education is general education, LDS Business College, Salt Lake City, Utah. She has a Bachelor's of Science in Social Work. And she has a Master's of Social Work from Brigham Young. Social work intern at McKay-D Hospital in the Psychiatric Unit. Master's of Social Work intern at Wasatch Mental Health. Development counselor intern at Deseret Industries. And now she's a therapist at Diamond Ranch Academy. Jonathan Parker, who's a therapist and equine therapist. He got his Master's at the University of Hawaii. The thing about equine therapy is you need to be licensed as an equine therapist according to the DRA website. All their equine therapists are licensed, and he does not appear to be. So he's missing something. He is missing something. And let's see, then we have Brent Black. Marriage and Family Therapy, a master's degree. Shannon Callahan has a master's in social work. Substance abuse therapist, intern at Therapia Addiction Healing Center. And now she's a therapist at DRA. Josh Larson. He also has his master's of clinical mental health counseling from the University of Phoenix. His work experience includes primary counselor, substance abuse counselor at Sunhawk Adolescent Recovery Center, substance abuse counselor at Diamond Ranch, program director, substance abuse counselor at Colonial Management Group, therapist assistant, Evoke, Second Nature, Entrada Therapeutic Wilderness Program, substance abuse counselor, Red Rock Canyon School, primary therapist, Lava Heights Academy, primary therapist, Eagle Ranch Academy. This guy's been around. Wow.
Big time programmy.
Definitely. We have Sage Callahan, Boise State University, social worker. He was a hospice social worker, tender care home and health and hospice. So he worked with dying people, which is nice. Then he was a social services director at Kairos Academy. And a therapist at Utah Behavior Services. And now he's at good old Diamond Ranch. Stephen Beck, social worker, staff at Lava Heights Academy, Tokerville, Utah, crisis therapist, Switchpoint, St. George, Utah. Now he's at DRA. And then we have Andy McGinnis, equine specialist. No information at all about him. And then Cheyenne Stratton, she's a small animal care specialist. And we're going to wrap this up for now. Therapists are required to meet continuing education and training requirements to maintain their licenses and level of expertise. Doctorate and master's degree therapists, licensed in the state of Utah, case managers, substance abuse disorder counselors, and something called EGALA, Certified Equine Specialists. I didn't see I didn't see the animal thing. They didn't note that they were certified, so
Right.
if they are, they should note that. I don't think they should be talking about equine therapy if the people that are running that program aren't certified. So
No.
yeah, so the next topic we're going to get to will be the schooling portion.
This has been the V2V Podcast Survivor Series, Diamond Ranch Academy. Stay tuned for Part 6, Academics. And as always, thanks for watching. This is the V2V Podcast with Marcus Parrish and Alexei Lindes, Survivor Series, Diamond Ranch Academy, Academics, Administrative Staff.
It's totally appropriate because we're talking about Diamond Ranch Academy school program, and the first thing I'm going to read is what they say their school program is. And excuse me, what it says is DRA students enjoy a normal, safe, structured high school experience without the negatives associated with public schools. Our intimate setting provides considerably more opportunities for our students. They play football on Friday nights underneath the lights. They play basketball during the week. They play soccer. They are part of the cheer squad and student council. They show off their latest oil paintings and compete in art shows. They perform on stage. They work with animals. They participate in hiking, speech and debate, woodworking, music, 4-H, and other clubs. They receive personalized attention in a structured setting where treatment can take place.
I don't think any of these activities are sort of like voluntary. I think you are forced to do these activities. I think that's part of the program. And I think that, you know, for them to be like calling themselves a normal, safe, structured high school is quite a stretch, considering their history and their past and what we know about them and what's going on.
We know enough to be questioning about how real this is, and soon we're going to be talking to people who've gone there and reading some testimonials about the environment. So the reason I wanted to read their statement is to provide a way to contrast the reality from what they're trying to present as who they are. Again, I guess it should be said that we're not endorsing or advocating Diamond Ranch Academy by reading their propaganda, right? What we're doing is presenting their side so that it can be shown to be
fraudulent.
Well, right, to show how true or untrue it is based on, reality.
Yeah.
So next we're going to get into like who runs the school, the administrative staff and program staff, and some of these names are going to be familiar because there's several people who seem to be in more than one place, or have more than one position at the same time. And again, as we wrap all this up, all these names, once we're done with this, we can go back and look in further detail about how that could actually, one, be possible, and more along the lines of like what they're actually doing there, and hopefully we'll get some people who, know these people and their work and can talk about what really goes on, rather than just taking their word for it, taking Diamond Ranch Academy's word for it.
Right.
So the first guy we're going to talk about is named Cody Wardle, and he's listed as a coach. So Coach Wardle is not a licensed mental health nor a medical professional in Utah.
Mm.
He has a Bachelor's of Science, emphasis in business management, and he's a certified first aid instructor, and then something called a certified PCS instructor. And I looked that up, and there's no such thing as a certified PCS instructor. It's not a thing. Like, it doesn't exist. So that's curious.
Right.
Like, he's throwing out these initials that don't really mean anything. Like, I could say I'm a certified PCS instructor, and it sounds pretty great, but It doesn't mean anything. In fact, are you a certified PCS instructor?
Sure.
His work experience consists of, it looks like, entirely working at the facility. He started as a line staff or work staff, O&A staff, head staff, assistant program director, and now this guy, Cody Wardle, is actually the director of operations for the entire program.
Wow.
So he's the big boss, and it's important to remember that what these people are representing themselves to be are, one, a school, two, they're offering therapy, drug addiction, rehab, and as impressive as a Bachelor's of Science with an emphasis in business management might be to some people, it really doesn't make you a good therapeutic boarding school director of operations. I can't understand how somebody with that background run this place. And I guess it's because he's a coach, but he doesn't even have any coaching experience. It's all it's all entirely in working at this school without any kind of background in physical education either.
Mm.
So there's a big red flag. So then we have Shara Carter, and she's the human resource director. She has no educational background listed, so that's curious. Dane Burton, he has a Master's of Science in Accounting and a Bachelor's of Science in Recreation Management and Youth Leadership from BYU. He's certified in first aid and something called AEGIS intervention, AEGIS intervention. Maybe we can take a look at what that is. AEGIS intervention is workplace violence de-escalation techniques. It's almost like that's supposed to be some kind of replacement for I guess a real education, because this guy's an accountant. Dane Burton, he started out as an assistant program director, became a program director, and now he's the director of finance at Diamond Ranch. So he's their accounting guy. But He didn't start out as director of finance. He started out as an assistant program director, which is also really curious. Why wouldn't he just immediately go into being the numbers guy? I guess they had to get him into the program as well, in a sense.
Yeah.
So next we have, now these people are all in one class. They're called parent communications directors.
Okay.
I think these people are the kind of like the sales staff.
Right.
Right. So then we've got Marcel Harkey. Marcel has a bachelor's in sociology, emphasis on human communication. He or she, I'm not sure, started out as a youth development counselor, lead youth development counselor, assistant program director, and then parent communications director, all at the school.
Another career.
Maury Simons, and Simons is not a licensed medical health or medical professional in Utah, and neither are these other people. That's something to remember too, that a lot of these people are brand new, and even the ones that do have the right kind of background are new as well, are newly certified, newly licensed. So Maury Simons is mostly based in real estate. She's a dance instructor, a house parent at some place called the Family Support Center. Did some work at a restaurant. No educational background. And then we have Thomas Timoteo as a parent communications director without any kind of information about what he's been up to. Trevor Thompson, listed as parent communications director / conditioning and fitness trainer. Had 3 years on an athletic scholarship for baseball at the College of Eastern Utah. He has an associate's degree. His experience started out as something called the unemployment group leader at Diamond Ranch Academy. Then he became a staff supervisor, and now he's a youth development counselor. And every time I see this word counselor, it kind of gets to me, because he is in no way, he's not a counselor. He doesn't have a counseling degree. Spent 3 years in college on baseball scholarship and didn't graduate.
Wow.
Yeah. So fail. Big fail.
Yeah, I feel like that's a real, like, that's something you need to, like, go to school for and be licensed to say that you are. You know?
Sure. And even the other part with the conditioning and fitness trainer part.
Yeah.
I would think that he would be a licensed trainer, because that's also a thing. Like, you can't just go into like LA Fitness or some gym and say, "Hey, I want to be a conditioning and fitness trainer. Sign me up." And they're like, "Okay, cool. What's your background? Have you learned how to do that?" "Yes, here's my certificate right here." And they're like, "Yes, we'll sign you up, sir." But he has nothing like that. So even in the details where you're talking about, the kids' physical education,
Yeah.
you really want, like the one lady, she was a PE coach, or she got a degree in physical fitness. Like, why isn't she the one doing this? She has the background. Right. Next is Tyler Wright. He is also a parent communications director, and he studied at Dixie State University. He graduated from Hurricane High School, and he states that he's bilingual in English and Spanish, and his work experience involves, he was a Utah regional sales manager for Fire Pro LLC, whatever that is, owner of Green Monkey Pest and Lawn, and then he became something called the Refocus Initiative Group Leader at Diamond Ranch Academy.
Wow.
Youth Development Counselor, Assistant Program Director, Stone Ridge and Girls Campus at Diamond Ranch Academy, and Program Director at Stone Ridge Sandstone Diamond Ranch Academy. Those are some of the names of the different areas, different programs based on age at the school. So I think Tyler's a guy.
Okay.
I mean, there could be a female named Tyler, I suppose, but
Sure.
I don't know why he'd be the assistant program director on the girls' campus when there seems to be plenty of women who work here. He doesn't have a degree. He studied at the university. He does have a high school diploma, though, so
Right.
there's that. Okay, so those are the I see, and that's why I think it's a sales thing, because a lot of these people, they don't really have backgrounds that would tell me that they're anything but they also have these other really unusual high-level titles too. So what are they? The question is, what are they really doing there?
Yeah.
And the next topic is programming.
This has been an episode of the V2V Podcast Survivor Series with Marcus Parrish and Alexei Lindes, Diamond Ranch Academy. Stay tuned for Part 7, Academics, Programming. And as always, thanks for watching. This is the V2V Podcast Survivor Series with Marcus Parrish and Alexei Lindes, Diamond Ranch Academy, Academics, Program Staff.
The first person that we're looking at in the programming section is a guy named Mac Brown, Program Manager. And we have no information about him, but we kind of do, because the next person on the list is a young woman by the name of Ashley Brown, the wife of Mac Brown, and also the mom of Riken and Rogue. She wanted to make sure that we knew that she had two kids named Riken and Rogue.
Okay.
Yeah. She's a program manager
Lovely.
and also the cheer coach. She's a cheerleader.
Oh, man.
So Ashley Brown, program director. She is not a licensed mental health nor medical professional. Go figure. Her education, she's a certified professional life coach.
Okay.
I don't know where you become a certified professional life
Life coach. That's very strange.
do you even need a certification to become a life coach, or can you just say that you're a life coach?
Yeah.
I think you can just say it.
Yeah.
She studied at Snow College on a dance scholarship.
Uh-huh.
High school graduate. She has, it just says she has training as an EMT/B certification. So that might be a little bit of a tricky thing. I don't think she's an emergency medical technician, but maybe she took a look at some of the coursework in a brochure, perhaps.
Mm.
Because if I was an EMT, I would say yes. I'm a professional fire and rescue person. I would say it. I wouldn't say I had training in the area, because that really doesn't matter. I've had training as a doctor, but I'm not a doctor. But I did look at the brochure. Ashley, with her dance scholarship education, she's been a program manager, program director, parent communications director, a clinical assistant, observation and assessment staff, youth development counselor, all those things. And she also has a little statement. I have worked in the industry since 2010 and became a certified professional life coach in 2016. I am forever grateful for the Diaz family and the positive impact Diamond Ranch has had on my relationships and my life. There's something wrong with this, very wrong with this picture of Ashley Brown here. She seems really, really unqualified to do anything of the kinds of job titles that she has. Maybe except for the cheerleading part. Next on the list is Jace Jones. And Jace Jones is the assistant evening director. He is not a licensed mental health or medical professional in Utah. He is also listed as program director / coach. And his education is that he is currently pursuing a computer information technology degree at the local community college. He has a high school diploma. He's also apparently certified PCS. And I think that's like a CNA, certified nurse's assistant. And he's also certified in first aid. Jace started working at Diamond Ranch Academy in late 2011 and was hired on as a weekend youth development counselor. He applied just as a job while attending college. I worked for a few months and with every intention of moving away from DRA once I had completed my associate's degree. As the months went by, I began to see changes in many of the youth that attended DRA and found myself curious as to what was exactly helping the youth. So he was working there and he saw kids changing and then became curious as to what exactly was helping them.
Yeah.
That's weird. If you're there working there, why would it be a mystery to you what's helping them? If you're saying that they're being helped, why would you be so curious about it?
I mean,
you go ahead. Yeah.
When you visit a cult, sometimes you're curious about, the goings on. It's quite fascinating how you can see 400 kids walking in a line and being obedient and supposedly following a structure.
Well, right. It's this is one of those areas that we're going to get into a little deeper about appearances versus reality. Yeah. I can see that if someone was hired onto a place like this as a weekend part-time guy, and in it's a school. I don't know. You may not know a whole lot about the place, and suddenly you notice that everyone's standing in straight lines, and you're curious about it because your other experience with kids, and as a kid yourself, you weren't about that. There's a reason, and part of the reason they're maybe seemingly so obedient and quiet and nice or whatever the case is, there might be some very specific reasons why these kids are choosing to not act normal because of repercussions, or punishment. Even that the school doesn't believe in. Mm-hmm.
I also want to mention that even the conversation going on and the talk coming out of the kid's mouth isn't normal. It's pro-program and it's under subject of duress. So if they said something wrong or if they said something out of the norm of the program, then they would be punished. Yeah. Therefore, they can't actually talk. By the way, I just watched an Abjust training video, and it's fucking ridiculous. It's like military police intervention techniques for intelligence and military. There's a whole bunch of firing of guns and people doing hand-to-hand combat. I mean, how that would apply at all to this program and these kids is fucking ridiculous.
The accountant, too. Right.
Even better,
It's the accountant who's got this training for some odd reason. He's going to protect the money, is what it is.
Yeah.
No one's getting near my money. So this guy, his statement continues, so he's really curious, and then immediately says, it's no mystery that there are some phenomenal people that work here at DRA, and every one of them contributes in helping these youth get back on track. I continue to work at DRA because I have seen so many youth come in lost, but leave with the tools they need to succeed and stay on track with their lives. The relationships I've built with students and staff alike have been pivotal in my personal development. So he's saying two totally different things. First, he's like, I stuck around because I was curious, and then immediately he explains why it's so great. So you can't be both of those things.
No.
So I think it sounds like he really drank the Kool-Aid. Why this guy who was pursuing a computer information technology degree would stick around as the assistant weekend director, the evening director, makes little sense. It just doesn't make any sense. Why would you go to school to become a computer guy and then say, you know what, all that schooling, forget it. I'm gonna be like the nice evening whatever at the school, like the guy who comes in and says hello to everybody.
That to me sounds like brainwashing and cultism. It sounds like
really
he
does.
saw something and he ditched his entire old life and his entire course of life for this program.
I mean, he's been there a while too. He started in 2011, so he's going on, several years now.
Yeah.
And started out as a youth development counselor. Again, like what in the world is he developing? Like what is going on there? How is that even possible?
Yeah.
That anyone would call him that or give him a job that's called that.
Right.
It just doesn't make any sense. No. Several other names here with little or no background information. Alex Garcia, Program Director. Rodney Meller, Program Director. Nick Contris, Program Director. McKay Lewis, Program Director. And then Brittany O'Mara, also a Program Director. And her education is that she graduated from high school, and she has child care certification in the state of Utah, meaning that she's a licensed babysitter, and her work experience consists of child care at Little Harvard Academy, which I think is the baby version of this stuff. It sounds like, just with the name alone.
Yeah.
Because people should be aware that there are baby and toddler versions of these programs as well.
Yes.
Like, that's something that people don't even consider, but of course there are, because it's easier for a school like this to get elementary and toddlers and babies that just go through the whole track rather than try to pull kids from outside. So I guess the child care daycare at Little Harvard Academy sounds like one of those situations. Why would you call it child care an academy anyway?
I don't know. It's so bad. It's really disgusting. The pipeline. It's a direct pipeline.
Exactly. That could also be a reason why some of these places seemingly have less bad reviews than one might think, because many of the students who are there are totally conditioned to that environment anyway, so it's normal because that's all they've ever known.
Yeah.
It's when the kids come from outside, that's when things get shaken up a little bit, and you get some of the stuff that we're going to read later about how terrible it is. It's important to put that in context, where these different points of view are coming from. All right, so then we have Megan Reynolds, Program Director, no information, and then Jen Lewis, Program Director. She graduated from high school. She graduated as valedictorian from the Art Institute of Las Vegas with a bachelor's degree in advertising. And she's a 15-year member of the International Order of the Rainbow for Girls, which is a Masonic organization for girls.
Okay.
She was state president for the International Order of the Rainbow for Girls in Nevada. Special events coordinator, advertising specialist, brand marketing account executive, brand marketing account supervisor and trainer, program assistant, and now she works as a program director and volleyball coach. Again, just the weirdest backgrounds some of these people have that don't really seem to apply at all to what they're doing.
Huh.
All right. Next, Dallin Beard, program director. Kyle Jaycox, program director. William Hormel, program director. And William Hormel has an Associate's of Science in Business and Accounting. He was a resident manager at Switchpoint Community Resource Center. Program assistant, Diamond Ranch Academy. RFI assistant, I don't know what RFI is. And then RFI director. Now he's, again, a program director. Anthony Van Orden, program director, and then Tyler Stevenson, program director. Like I said, all the people that I just say their title, there is no background information they provided, so we don't know what their backgrounds are. And there are a lot of them. I would imagine that there's not much worth mentioning. They don't really have much of an educational background or work experience background, or they're so new that they haven't updated the website. I just have to, say this again, that, this information that we're providing it's really to parents or potential students there. I mean, do you really want to spend $10,000 a month for up to a year to send your kid to this place that seems to have staff with very little appropriate background? You can even set aside like all the negative aspects that we've discussed already about the background and all these incidents, and whether or not they provide a real education, which we'll kind of get into next, but just the background of the staff alone. If it's such a great place, why can't they actually attract staff that has appropriate backgrounds in education? Why are they hiring people with really substandard credentials? And it's interesting that they're kind of hiding in plain sight, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I doubt that many parents or potential students or people who are interested really dig that deep into these backgrounds. Because what you have to do on the website is you click on the heading, and then you have a list of names with, pictures of people. And if you click on them, that pops up their title and background. And there's like 100 people. And who's gonna have the time to look at every person? You know who has time? I've got time.
We have time.
We have time. Like I said, this is really a free service for people to be able to really find out about this place and then other places like it, and then they can make some very important phone calls about what are you guys doing with my kid, and get your kid out of there. I don't want to blame parents who've been deceived. Once parents have information, and they really know what's going on, then I think they're obligated to take some action. But if they've been deceived, got their kid into a situation they thought was going to be a good one, into the so-called premier boarding school, and then find out that that the people that are teaching and taking care of their child are totally inadequate. Once they know that, then they become obligated to do something.
Correct.
Right. Parents, don't feel bad. Maybe you didn't know, but now that you're getting this information, you should probably take some action and remove your child from this situation for sure. The next thing is what are called the programs, different age group schools or separate schools or programs within the academy. So the first one, they'll have very nice names too.
You have been listening to the V2V Podcast Survivor Series with Marcus Parrish and Alexei Lindes, Diamond Ranch Academy. Stay tuned for the next episode, Program, Curriculum. And as always, thanks for watching. This is the V2V Podcast Survivor Series, Diamond Ranch Academy, Part 8, Academics Program Staff.
The next thing is we're talking about are what are called the programs, the different age group schools or separate schools or programs within the academy. So the first one is called Whisper Creek, and Whisper Creek is for girls aged 16 to 18. And this is information taken directly from, this is what they say they are doing. Girls 16 to 18, the program involves dealing with healthy relationships with family members, healthy relationships with the opposite sex, social skills and boundary setting, preparation for adulthood, contributing member of society, health and beauty, interviewing skills, appropriate social media, mindfulness. This is interesting. Distress tolerance. Just let that sink in for a second. So, I've never heard that term before as a goal, that we're going to teach you how to be tolerant of distress. Emotional regulation, interpersonal effectiveness, and physical fitness.
And this is all done by non-licensed, non-trained staff who are doing some pseudoscience bullshit, clearly. Because that sounds pretty bad to me. That sounds like brainwashing.
It sure does. And I don't think we've gotten to the teachers yet. Like, where are the teachers? I don't think we've spoken about the actual teaching staff at this point. The only people that we've spoken about are the admissions staff and the therapeutic clinical staff, who actually I've been wondering about those people and how often they're really there, for one thing. Like, in a lot of cases, clinical staff, they'll come in once or twice a week into an office and, do therapeutic work and then leave. They don't actually really work full time on campus, even though the state regulations state that the other unlicensed employees have to work with clinical staff on site at all times. So that's definitely something that we still need to kind of investigate what the actual situation is on campus at any given time. This program that's a lot, and it means a program that broad and far-reaching, I would think would be handled by people trained in the field, and licensed in whatever subject they're teaching, but we'll see. They utilize a specialized academic approach designed to create confident and capable students. Students enjoy the support and guidance of certified teachers in each classroom, and mastery learning requires that all students get an 80% or better on assignments and tests. So what they're saying is that you need to get at least a B to pass, which is a really super high standard to try to reach. That's incredible. For a school to try to enforce 80% or better on assignments and tests it seems very unlikely, unless there's something else weird going on. Because how can you expect a troubled teen, or let's call them so-called troubled teens, and then be required to get 80% at the very least on all assignments? That doesn't make sense
at all. And why should education be the primary focus if you have a so-called troubled teen? Shouldn't you just try to fix or help that troubled teen so that that troubled teen can go home, not so that troubled teen can set up in school in this place. No.
They're running into this issue. We're running into this issue again about what exactly is Diamond Ranch Academy. Is it a school? Is it therapy? What is it? And
Right.
so, but then it goes on to explain that it says it ensures that students are mastering content before moving on. But then it says because the curriculum is self-paced, students are able to progress faster in some subjects and take more time in others based on their individual needs. So all of a sudden, it's okay, we've got this strict curriculum that you need to get 80% on. Oh, but guess what? We're not even going to teach you. You're on your own. You're self-paced. That's not very rigorous. It goes on. This provides for increased accountability and ownership in the learning process. So if you're paying this much money to have your kid taught by who they say are really great instructors and teachers, but then you find out it's just self-paced and the student actually owns the entirety of the learning process, well, who's teaching them? Once they get out of the school and go back to another school or get into college, that's not self-paced. You have to complete your assignments on time or you're going to fail. Like, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't apply to like the real world conditions that actually occur. You know, the public high school isn't self-paced.
And it also doesn't like allow transition back to regular high school. It just allows the kid to stay stuck in this as the only education.
It actually, I think, purposefully prevents students from reintegrating into school outside of this environment, because they're going to come out with this idea that they can take more time on this subject and less time on that one and go at their own rate. But that's just not the way anything works out in the world. You don't get to decide, you know, if you're working for somebody or if you're in a school environment. It's very rare that you can just say, oh, I'll finish that up later. What they say that this kind of system provides for, it's college and career readiness, diploma completion or transition to another secondary school, ACT/SAT testing, PSAT and ASVAB testing, college exploration and applications, scholarship applications, career exploration, college course opportunities for students that have already finished their diploma, additional experiential learning activities, and something called the credit-driven economy, which I don't know what that's doing on the...
Well, right away I see Paul Schultz, the next revolution in our credit-driven economy.
Right, it's about like, I mean, I know what it means. It means like that the United States is running on credit cards or something. Like,
Right.
Don't worry, you can put Diamond Ranch Academy on your credit card. Okay, so then the next part of the program is their list of all the good things that they provide along the lines of therapy. Doctorate and master's degree therapists, licensed in the state of Utah, case managers, substance use disorder counselors, EGALA certified equine specialists, cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, narrative therapy, crisis management, Narcotics/Alcoholics Anonymous, smart recovery, addiction, substance abuse counseling, experiential therapy, structural family therapy, solution-focused therapy, motivational interviewing, life skill training, trauma-based approaches, and art therapy. So what that sounds like to me is that someone just got a list of different therapies and threw it up on the website.
Agreed.
This is another one of those areas where it's going to be important to actually talk to people who've gone here. And
Yeah.
Right, so we can get some real feedback. Right, the idea is that it's like we said at the beginning of this project, was to look at programs that are currently operating and allow them to speak for themselves. Here's who they say they are, like in every aspect. This is who they say they are. This is who works there. These are their qualifications. And then once we get all that, the idea is that the program can't really say no. They can't say, no, that's not who we are, because they've already said so. The next list is program wellness, which is just a list of sports activities. So,
Okay.
and even this is like, I want to eventually talk to people and say, is this really everything that was offered? Because it's a good list. Basketball, CrossFit, skating, Zumba, cheer, yoga, spin, swimming, volleyball, softball, dance, lacrosse, and tennis. This is the program for the older girls, 16 to 18. These are all the things that the Diamond Ranch Academy says they provide in this particular program. That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff. And, okay, then we have 4 program directors who actually manage this girls program, and these are familiar names. Ashley Brown, she's a cheerleader, right? Then we have Brittany O'Mara, Jen Lewis, and Maury Simons. And that is that. There's a Crystal Springs for girls 12 to 15. The only thing that's different is in the program is healthy relationships with the opposite sex. The girls ages 12 to 15, they don't have that portion listed,
right?
As something that they're too young, right?
Right.
So other than that, it's the same thing. But then we have again Ashley Brown.
Well, basically, the girls' ages 13 to 15 are quarantined from the boys. They're not allowed any contact at all. But then all of a sudden you turn 16 and you're allowed to contact the boys. But it has to be in healthy ways, right? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I would think. Like that, or, I mean, it's just not listed part of this program. They're not giving girls this age tools to form healthy relationships with the opposite sex. Not yet.
Right. Yeah.
So when we look at the Crystal Springs directors, Ashley Brown again is there, and also Maury Simons, and then Megan Reynolds. So there are 3 program directors, 2 of which are also program directors for the older girls too.
Right. Big job.
So so those are the only 2 programs for the girls. We have 2 age groups. Then we have boys, 12 to 13 years old, sandstone, and football, basketball, baseball, track and field, cross country, CrossFit, soccer, wrestling, skating, and golf. And then there are the program directors there. These are all names that we've read before. Anthony Van Orden, Dallin Beard, Jace Jones, Mac Brown, Tyler Stevenson, Kyler Wright, William Hormel. Then there's the Stone Ridge program, boys 14 to 15. Jace Jones, Mac Brown, Nick Contras, Rodney Meller, and Tyler Wright. Lava Falls, 16 to 17. This is worth reading. The Lava Falls program is designed for boys who are approaching adulthood in age, but who are often lagging behind emotionally. They desire independence, but are not necessarily prepared for the demands of the real world. Our innovative therapeutic approach is designed to prepare young men to successfully navigate the transition from boy to man. The program is uniquely designed to address your son's specific needs in an environment that allows him to connect with others his age who are struggling with similar issues. Academics, the little thing about the Boys Academics says, the academic approach at Lava Falls is innovative and effective. Most 16 to 17-year-olds don't see the value in school. I would argue that. That seems to be a pretty broad statement. Most 16 to 17-year-olds don't see the value in school. I don't know about that. They desire instant gratification and struggle with linking their work in the classroom today with benefits in the future. Really? Like, I don't know about that one either. Like, these kids aren't retarded. No. I mean, they're not, right? Many students have not experienced academic success and don't see themselves going to college. Our self-paced, mastery-based educational model assists students in connecting with the dots between school and success in life. Your son will enjoy the ability to work at his own pace while still having access to certified teachers in every classroom. That's really telling. That statement right there. Your son will enjoy the ability to work at his own pace while still having access to certified teachers in every classroom. So what that's saying to me is that your son isn't being taught. Your son is being given assignments to do. And at some point, perhaps your son could make an appointment with a teacher for or something like that. You know, I need access to my teacher.
Right.
Yeah. Some of the stuff you really have to kind of read between the lines because they're kind of telling you exactly what's wrong with them, even in their own statements. Yeah. Students must receive 80% or better on all tests and assignments, ensuring that they're mastering core content. And then it goes on to say that it's self-paced and they could take more or less time. Your son will leave DRA with academic confidence and amazing grades, having built a solid academic foundation. Well, no shit you're going to have amazing grades because you're going to have to take that test 3, 4, 5 times until you memorize the answers and you get every answer right, and then oh my gosh, you got 100%.
Yeah.
You know, look at this great grade this kid got.
This is extremely familiar to my education.
Yes, that's so easily manufactured, these fantastic grades, because, you know, it's self-paced, and you're going to get failed if you don't meet up to that standard.
Right.
Meanwhile, you're not keeping pace with the kid who's going to regular school who got a C on the same subject, right? And took it and moved on. Meanwhile, the Diamond Ranch Academy kid is like a month behind because he's struggling to figure this stuff out on his own because the certified teacher isn't available. That's done sometimes too, where they just have the students study for the test and regardless of what they actually learned, they're like, okay, cool, you passed. Then we have Sage Canyon for boys 18 and older. Nothing really different here. Students who complete their senior year can graduate from DRA with a fully accredited high school diploma. You can also take a test and test out of the program directors here are Alex Garcia, Kyle Jaycox, Mac Brown, Marcel Harkey, McKay Lewis, Nick Contras, and Trevor Thompson. The program directors, again, are Alex Garcia, Mac Brown, McKay Lewis, Thomas Timoteo, Trevor Thompson, and the last part about the education by DRA says, our courses are aligned with Utah State core curriculum, ensuring students are on track to achieve competitive academic gains on a global level. Our focus on education includes low teacher-to-student ratios, giving your team personalized attention that allows teachers to best help them excel. Gender and age-specific classrooms, allowing students to learn in a relaxed and supportive atmosphere. A constantly evolving library. Special education tailored to students' individualized education plans. And our spacious classrooms and expert instructors help make school something Diamond Ranch Academy students look forward to, a meaningful experience that lasts once they leave campus. So they also claim to have fine and performing arts with nothing really, just says fine and performing arts. And that's really it. Like there's nothing really specific about their schooling or anything except these really broad pronouncements that this is what we do, the people who are apparently teaching the kids, but that's it for the educational stuff at Diamond Ranch Academy. And what's next? The medical staff, I think we'll take a look at another time.
This has been an episode of the V2V Podcast Survivor Series, Diamond Ranch Academy. Stay tuned for Part 9, Academics and Medical Staff. And as always, thanks for watching.